in Sunday's win over Russia. The red, white, and blue wave that flag right now on ESPN2. Hello again, basketball fans, and welcome to the Chi-Chong Arena in Shanghai, China for today's friendly between USA and Australia, two teams who will be vying for gold in Beijing. Rick Kamla and Fran Fraschilla on the call, and Fran, after averaging 118 points on 66% shooting through the first three games, USA was limited to 89 on 57% against Russia's zone defense.
Well, Russia did a great job of slowing the tempo of the game down, but as usual, it was USA's defense which keyed some easy open court opportunities.
And that 360 from Kobe was nasty. And it's time for your Chevy keys to the game.
Well, despite the Aussies being without one of their key components, it's a physical team. Team USA only +2 on the boards during this Olympic stretch. Deflections, not necessarily steals, but just disrupting the Aussie offense important. And if you're Mike Krzyzewski, this is an exhibition game. You'll see limited amount of minutes from some key guys, I believe. No injuries.
The State Farm starting lineups look like this. 26 combined All-Star appearances for the USA's first wave of Kidd, Bryant, James, Anthony, and Howard. And for the Aussies, Andrew Bogut will not play today because of an ankle injury, but this lineup does feature NBA draft picks David Anderson of the Hawks, Brad Newley, whose rights are owned by the Rockets, and C.J. Bruton, taken by the Grizzlies 11 years ago. And, Coach, it's time to break down the primary rule differences between the NBA and FIBA.
Well, you got 4 quarters, but only 10 minutes. The shorter by almost 3, but by more than 3 feet shot line, 3-point shot line, and then also only 5 team fouls, slightly smaller court, the trapezoid lane. One other interesting thing, only the coach can call timeout during FIBA play, and only during a dead ball.
Andrew Bogut not playing here today. #1 overall pick back in 2005. Should be good for the Olympics, but he's the face of the Australian national team, and they're going to need a facelift here today.
Well, they will, and he got hurt in the Angola game. They had a huge lead over Argentina by 19. When he went out in the early second half, Argentina came back and beat the Aussies.
The United States in blue and Australia in yellow and green. The United States 4-0 so far on this pre-Olympic tour, beating Canada, Turkey, Lithuania, and Russia by an average of 36 points. We are underway, and Jason Kidd will cross the timeline and get the Americans into their offense. Their defense has been superlative through these first 4, giving up 75 points per game on just 40% shooting. And early on, K.Bryant and one. Picking up where he left off against Russia.
Let me tell you what you love about that. A lot of ball movement. That was a little bit of a continuity offense. Something that Mike Krzyzewski either has kept in his back pocket or maybe they've worked on a little bit more. But nice ball movement right there. The back screen freed K.Bryant.
The reigning MVP, hearing chance of MVP here in Shanghai. 3-0 USA. This is C.J. Bruton. Dogged by Jason Kidd. Didn't play in the second half against Russia.
Now this will be interesting because the Achilles heel right now for Australia is some young players that'll be on the floor in the backcourt. Not Bruton, however.
Bruton ties the game at 3. And there's been a lot of discussion online about Jason Kidd not playing in the second half. K.Bryant joked that, well, he's old. That's why he didn't play in the second half. Is there more to it than that, Fran?
I don't really think so. Now, you remember back in the game against Canada, we talked about the fact that he would probably only play 15, 18 minutes a game during the Olympics, but he and Mike Krzyzewski are on the same page, and they've decided, I believe, make sure he's nice and rested going into Beijing.
K.Bryant fouled once again. And he will head back to the free throw line. And he is really a microcosm of the road to redemption for the U.S. Olympic team. Came short in the finals against Boston. He does not have a gold medal in his trophy case. And I really think when you gauge the motivational level of the players on this team, it can't be any higher than Kobe Bryant's.
Well, I think you're right. And I think he feels that he could have helped this team, obviously, in the past. But I'll tell you what, Wade and Anthony and LeBron James have some motivation as well, coming off that disappointment in 2004.
Very good point. How about Kobe Bryant shooting blanks from the line?
Well, and how about this Team USA only shooting about 73% from the line in the first 4 exhibition games?
David Anderson, superstar in the EuroLeague, and driving and drawing the foul for Australia is David Barlow. And there is Mike Krzyzewski, a.k.a. Coach K, head coach of this U.S. Olympic team. Directed them to gold at the Tournament of the Americas last year to qualify for the Olympics. Now he wants the real deal gold medal.
And he's got everything else in his trophy case, minus the gold medal. This is a nice young player, David Barlow. He's 6'9". He played for Mike Dunlap at Metro State in Colorado, and a Division II power. Mike Dunlap later went on to the Nuggets and now is Ruud Olsen's top assistant, but also coached in the Australian Pro League, the NBL.
I know the Nuggets weren't happy about giving him up, but he's moving on. Carmelo Anthony with the miss. And the rebound to Bruton.
You see right there was no ball movement, just isolation, one shot, quick shot.
LeBron James triggers the break, but it's picked off by Nielsen. And they move it around. David Anderson is bottled up by Jason Kidd. What defense by J. Kidd.
Very fortunate. The turnover created a 3-on-1 situation. And Anderson, a guy that plays his basketball in Europe, we were talking about before the game, not really a physical guy for a guy that has that kind of size and wasn't able to go up over Kidd.
Dwight Howard is already snickering. David Anderson, a guy who likes to play from the elbow. If he goes down low with Dwight Howard, it's going to be a mess for the Australian side. This is Brad Newley. Shot clock and issue down to 5, and it's picked off. Carmelo back for the Americans, and he is fouled by Barlow, and an intentional foul is called. 2 free throws plus the ball for the United States.
Well, there's one of those rule changes. FIBA rules now. They don't let you just hack the guy and stop the fast break anymore like you used to be able to do. And international guys so good at that. Now you must play the ball. And the official determined that he was not. And so Carmelo will get 2 free throws, and Team USA will get the ball out of bounds.
Carmelo, the leading foul shooter on this team through the first 4 exhibition games at 94%, and we'll see if the jinx was applied. It was not. Carmelo Anthony stays hot. But as you mentioned, the Americans shooting just 73% through the first 4 games. That may or may not get it done in Beijing.
You know, usually when you think of free throw shooting, you know, Dwight Howard about 60% comes to mind. And when a guy like that shoots so many, that's understandable. But you got guys like LeBron James, only 50% so far in this tournament. How about Michael Redd, 67%? See, they've got that little backdoor play in their half-court arsenal. And what they do is Jason Kidd will dribble right at the man in the corner, and that freezes the defender. And then they run that little backdoor cut.
Carmelo down low to Dwight Howard, a little bit too high for him.
Well, that's a tough angle right there. When you throw the ball in from the top of the key into the post, you'd like to have the defender on Dwight Howard's back.
Brian Goorjian, the head coach of the Australian national team, he's had that role for a while. And if only Dwight Howard were 7 foot, he might have caught that pass. No 7-footers on this U.S. Olympic team. He's the tallest at 6'11". Matthew Nielsen, gritty EuroLeague player, and he lost it. And they said it was off on LeBron James. 7 on the shot clock for Australia. Just look at Matthew Nielsen, plays his ball for Lietuvos Rytas in Lithuania.
Now, even without Bogut, it's a pretty physical front line.
Carmelo said, give me that, from his old man, Kobe Bryant. Here's Jason Kidd back for the Americans. Out of bounds to Australia.
Well, we saw this against Russia right now. Not the crispness that you'd like in your half-court offense.
Really a great coaching job by David Blatt and all the funky stuff that he did to the Americans to keep the score down and keep it relatively close.
He really did. He didn't send a lot of people to the offensive glass. He made sure he had coverage in transition.
Kobe the rebound off the Barlow miss. We're tied at 5. Kobe can't get by Newley. Now he does. Goes into Nielsen, scoops it up, and he can't score. K.Bryant goes down hard, landed right on Nielsen. Back come the Aussies. Here is Newley right on Kidd, and one for Brad Newley.
Very nice move. Now that started with another one-on-one play at the other end. Kobe's taking on 3 guys at the rim. But this kid, Brad Newley, you mentioned the draft pick of the Rockets a year ago, played very well in his first year in the Greek League for Panianos. Outstanding shooter, not a great athlete, but at 6'7" and just a 23-year-old, has a chance maybe to come over here and play for Daryl Morey and Rick Adelman's club, the Rockets.
They are currently loaded, and loading up for a jam is Dwight Howard. The feed from LeBron.
Great ball movement right there. They kept the ball off the ground versus a little half-court pressure. The ball moves quicker than the dribble.
David Anderson had that taken away. A couple of Americans down there ripping it away from him. Here's Kidd. Always looking to set up. K.Bryant, again, maybe a little bit too much one-on-one. Defended well by Bruton.
Well, what Australia does in the half-court, Rick, is they put 5 guys and they play them inside the three-point line. So when you put the ball on the floor, you've already not only have to beat your man, but you're likely to have to beat somebody at the elbow and somebody at the block, because they really load up on the ball side. And remember, you don't have the NBA isolation rules, so you can really pack your man in and you can play zone.
Just about 4 minutes into the basketball game, the final exhibition game for the U.S. Olympic team.
You see how all 5 gold shirts in the lane.
Carmelo Anthony missed the lefty layup out of bounds. The officials hesitant on the call, and it'll go to the Aussies. And Patrick Mills into the game. Point guard, plays his college ball in the States at St. Mary's College.
Well, Randy Bennett does a great job there of attracting these Australian young players. Patrick Mills had a terrific freshman year in helping the Gales to the NCAA tournament.
Newley cans a 3. He looks like Fred Hoiberg in the face, and he shoots like Fred Hoiberg, at least on that one.
Good half-court execution. That's what we want. One of the keys, I think, to slowing down Team USA is take care of the ball, use some shot clock, and then when you get an open look like Newley had, you've got to bury it.
18 on the shot clock for the Americans. They trail by 3.
Boy, Patrick Mills only 19 years old.
Carmelo Anthony buries it in the face of his defender. The Americans down 1. Just over 5 minutes to go in the first.
Again, the strength of Team USA is in the half court. Really has been their isolation game. But I'd like to see a little bit more ball movement. Look at that
Rushing
quickness.
Screen on Kidd, and Mills blows by, draws the foul on Dwight Howard. And Gorzhin liking what he is seeing from his team here in the first 5+ minutes of the game. The Australians lead 10-9, 4:56 to go in the first quarter. More for Coach K and Team USA to work on.
Where can you find me? At the intersection of my new life and my new lifestyle. Driving. Wheatgrass?
Yeah, that was it.
Change of scenery? A State Farm agent will be there to help you get the right coverage at a great price.
You know that place where there's never a rain delay? I am so there.
Call, click, or visit and start saving today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What's this? It's wheatgrass. So what do you think of my screenplay?
When you're the greatest golfer on earth, what's next? New Gatorade Tiger with 25% more electrolytes. It's in Tiger Woods. Is it in you?
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball, brought to you by McDonald's and Gatorade. It's in USA Basketball. Is it in you?
And we welcome you back to ESPN2's continuing coverage of the pre-Olympic tour for Team USA. And Fran Fraschilla has figured out how to beat this team.
Yeah, a little easier said than done, but and only a few teams could really pull this off. But David Blatt sent almost nobody, the Russian coach, to the offensive glass. That meant they had 4 or 5 guys back in transition. Pack in your zone, sub on free throws so that you don't allow Team USA to get the ball out of the net and get in transition. And then you really must take care of the ball and run your half-court offense. Well, this young man, Patrick Mills, I had a chance to see him get 37 this year as a freshman in a game against Oregon. Bright young prospect. Little zone.
LeBron James right at you. I want to go back to your point for a moment, Frank. Carlos Boozer said on the free throw situation, as Mills slices and dices, he said they did a good job of calling timeouts or substituting when there was a free throw. Usually on a free throw, we get the ball and take off and run.
No, that's exactly right. David Blatt did a tremendous job of controlling the tempo of that game for Russia, and they held Team USA to only 89. And when you think about the fact that they came in averaging 120, that was a fairly masterful job of slowing the tempo.
On Wednesday night baseball, the Bronx Bombers, led by Alex Rodriguez, head to Rangers Ballpark to take on Josh Hamilton and the Texas Rangers. Wednesday night baseball on ESPN at 8 Eastern time. Before the game, catch baseball tonight, presented by CDW at 7 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Dwight Howard comes off a foul-plagued game against Russia, and he misses the first free throw. Dwight Howard shooting just 50% from the line in these 4 exhibition games.
Watch his left hand. His left hand is in front of the ball. Your guide hand, he's got too much guide hand on his shot.
The first of many rebounding titles for Dwight Howard last year. Is he the best center in the world, Fran?
At this point in time, I believe he is. Yep. You know, you can make the argument for Yao, obviously, but Yao has been injured the last couple of years. Obviously, potentially, he's still got a lot of room for improvement.
Dwight has never missed a game in his NBA career. Here is Mills. Just missed that shot.
He is not bashful.
And who said David Anderson can't crash glass? He's right in there fighting for the rebound. And a turnover by the Americans, last touch by that man, Chris Paul, and a look at arguably and probably the 2 best centers in the world.
Oh, there you go. Yao obviously coming into his own, more veteran player. Dwight Howard, man, I had a chance to see him at high school, and the improvement he's made has been unbelievable. You remember that the year he was picked, there was the discussion whether Orlando would take him or Emeka Okafor.
Look at
this guy. If you are Randy Bennett right now, you are excited. This guy plays for St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference. Right back is D.Wade.
The Americans within 2. Glenn Seville, number 12 in yellow, into the game. Chris Anstey, number 4. He's the center. He was drafted in '97 by the Blazers, way back when. Seville.
See, Australia's done a really good job of taking care of the basketball, and it's limited Team USA's open court opportunities.
Williams, the crossover.
There's another turnover. This is the one concern you have if you're a fan of Team USA, is when they played the elite teams, and Australia is sort of in a transition mode, but when they play the elite teams, are they going to be able to run half-court offense? Because I don't believe you can rely on isolation game versus the experience of teams like Spain and Argentina.
Chris Bosh knocked it away, recovered by Mills, underneath to Anstey for the flush, and the Aussies by 4.
There's an example of Team USA knocking the ball loose with a deflection, but Patrick Mills' quickness was able to recover, and they get 2 points out of this.
Almost another turnover by the Americans. And Chris Bosh, we saw the perimeter defense. He was singled out by Coach K for that perimeter defense, and Coach K basically said, I'm not worried about what shows up in the box score. I like what I'm seeing from Chris Bosh on the floor, especially on the defensive end.
At 6'11", he can really guard the mobile, what we call the international big guys, away from the basket, and he's got just enough bulk to be able to handle himself inside. See how packed in the Australian defense is.
D.Wade caught up in the air looking for the foul.
And he's got to play through that. He's looking around for the call that he normally gets when he's playing in the wintertime. Look at that ball movement.
Plenty of time on the shot clock. Mills splits the D, pulls up and misses, and a nice rebound by D.Wade in traffic.
Well, you got to love this young guy's moxie.
Not backing down, not giving an inch.
Good ball movement.
Indeed, but a nice knock away underneath the basket. The Australians don't like that foul call. Chris Bosh, a couple of free throws coming up for him. He comes into this game leading Team USA in field goal shooting at 75%.
But he doesn't shoot many, but he's been very efficient. And obviously, they're not running a lot of offense through him. So he's been opportune on the offensive glass and in transition. But you like that play right now. They go high, they go side pick and roll, and they utilize both big guys to play high-low with each other. And that's what we mean when we say you don't want to just play an isolation one-on-one game. Any good offense, Rick, has got to move the defense side to side. And you want to see Team USA do more of that, because they're going to need to do that when they play the elite teams.
Chris Bosh, fourth youngest player in the history of NBA basketball to post a 2020 game, and Carmelo Anthony down there taps it up and in Moses Malone style.
Well, we said this many times about Carmelo, the strength and versatility to play inside and out. And in this Olympic Games, he will be more of a four-man than he normally takes on when he's playing the small forward spot for the Nuggets.
Carmelo with 6. Here is Mills getting by the defense again, and a foul on Chris Paul.
Well, you got a dilemma now if you're Team USA, because you're not going to play Jason Kidd much, and he doesn't have the foot quickness to stay with this guy. But Chris Paul, we've pointed out, there's been a number of times in this tournament where he has not guarded the ball particularly well, and Patrick Mills takes advantage of that.
6 different players have scored for the United States to get their 16. They were held to 17 in the second quarter against Russia. That was their worst quarter of this pre-Olympic run, and they're creeping towards that right here. Mark Worthington, number 11, into the game. And here is Mills. Takes the pick from Anderson. And a bad pass. Here is D.Wade. He's been rocking the rim this entire tour. And here the good defense by Mills forces him into a layup.
Well, there's Patrick Mills with the turnover. He tried to throw a cross-court pass, and this Team USA offense has really been fueled by deflections and steals.
And another foul on the United States, drawn by Glenn Seville. Under a minute to go in the first quarter. So the United States have 18. This won't be their worst quarter of the pre-Olympic run, but you know, they've had slow starts in the first quarter on the defensive end. We haven't seen that on the offensive end.
No, but one of the things that's happened throughout this 5-game tour is that each opponent has started to go to school on what's been relatively successful against Team USA.
Worthington, 25-year-old, 6'8" forward, plays for the Sydney Kings.
And one of those rare guys that has never been a professional outside of the Australian NBL that's on this roster.
2-point guard look for the U.S. Paul and Williams. Paul with the ball. Paul missing, and the rebound comes out to Carmelo. Zips it underneath to Wade, but it's knocked out of bounds off of Glenn Seville. This 18-17 lead for the Americans, their first since leading 3-0.
Now, this is an Australia team that led Argentina by 19 in the second half of the Diamond Ball tournament just a few short days ago, and they played that whole second half without Bogut.
Bosh puts it in, and you wonder if they would have beaten Argentina with a full Andrew Bogut. And Australia feels good about their chances going into the Olympics because how they fared in that Diamond Ball tournament.
I think you're right. And the one thing they have, and we pointed this out earlier, they have a very physical front line that can match up with a team like USA. And the key has been for Australia is, can they get the solid guard play out of these young guys like Newley and Mills? And so far today, the answer is they can. Brian Goorjian, whose father, Ed Goorjian, a famous California high school coach. Brother Greg was an outstanding high school player. Actually, I think finished up at UNLV. And Ed Goorjian actually was an assistant coach for Jerry Tarkanian at UNLV. So Brian, a Southern California guy that spent the majority of his adult life down under.
Well, he's been digging the climate regardless of where he's been, right? He knows about good living, does Coach Gorgian. Mills back to the line, just 19 years old. What a future ahead of him. And he brings the Aussies within one.
He's been on the international scene for the Australian national youth teams.
Here's Wade with 1 second left, and he is fouled, and Coach Gorgian cannot believe his eyes. D.Wade has 3 free throws coming up.
Now, that's a veteran guy, Seville, 32 years old. He's got to know better. One of the cardinal sins in defensive basketball is don't foul a jump shooter. And especially a guy like Wade. Even though Wade shoots the ball well, what you want to do is take away his dribble.
Wade off with the first, and he has been off from the line just 73% through the first 4 games, but he is leading the Americans in scoring at 17 points per game in just 19 minutes per game.
And shooting a ridiculous rate from the field. 74, 75%, and it's not just been in transition. It's been the mid-range jump shot. He's done well from the three-point line.
83% from three-point range. That leads Team USA, and D.Wade leads Team USA to a lead at the end of the first quarter. But the Aussies and Brad Newley and Patrick Mills have been balling here in Shanghai. They're hanging with Team USA. The second quarter coming up.
What about that big play when I pitched the ball to the left? Whoa, where's my man? On the way. I stop. End zone is right there. Daylight. I see fans cheering. Touchdown. Woo, woo. All up in his face with stuff like this and stuff. And just, yeah. And you do all that stuff and you make him embarrassed. Gives you like a sense of pride. Makes you want to walk around and say, I own you. Could you pass me that soda?
Rated E for everyone.
And we welcome you back to Shanghai, China. The Chichong Arena. The United States leads after one, 22-19. Rick Kamla, Fran Fraschilla on the call for ESPN2. And Fran, for the second straight game, it's been a slow-down tempo, and the Americans have been kind of stuck in the mud a little bit.
Well, and that's partly because Australia has done a really good job of taking care of the basketball, using a lot of the 24-second clock, and they've kept Team USA out of transition, where they've really made their living in most of this exhibition tour. But Team USA is going to have to be much more crisp in the half-court offense, particularly as they start to see the elite teams, and by that we always talk about Spain, Greece, and Argentina.
This is Worthington on the move, defended nicely. Darren Williams up ahead to D.Wade, and he breaks something off. That was nice from D.Wade, but better defense by the Americans triggering that offense.
Perfect example. They turn the ball over off the forced shot, and that leads to D.Wade getting out in transition.
USA by 5.
See, that's a deflection right there. You don't get a steal for that, but you disrupt Australia's offense.
And we have words.
This is typical Aussie basketball right here. They do not back down. This is great. This is good for Team USA. And you got no Bogut out there because of the ankle injury. But the Australians known to not be afraid to rough you up. They roughed up Yao Ming a couple weeks ago. They went toe-to-toe with Oberto and Nocioni and Ginobili a few nights ago. And this is good for Team USA to understand that, you know, this is not the Washington Generals.
That was Chris Anstey, not backing down at all.
No, he
to the famed USA Olympic team.
Yep, well, he played in the NBA for 3 years with the Bulls and the Mavericks. See the isolation.
It looked like he had a good feel for that ball as he went up.
You're shooting over a guy who's in front of you, and you can't get to the rim because they packed in their defense, and that's why you have to move the basketball. And as good as Kobe is, he can't rely on that on the one-on-one game.
Mello right up there on Anstey, but Anstey with a nice pass to Seville. He missed the layup. Back comes Darren Williams for the USA. Stutter step move, and it's picked off by Anstey. And he's up ahead to Bruton. Pulls up for the J and knocks it down, and the Australians within 3.
C.J. Bruton, who played at Indian Hills Junior College. His father, Cal, actually a New Yorker who played at Wichita State and then ended up playing in the Australian League and coaching.
Bruton has 5. Wade with the miss. Rebounded by David Anderson, 2-time EuroLeague champion with CSKA Moscow. He'll be playing for FC Barcelona this year. Bruton from Memphis. And a follow flush attempt wouldn't go. And Carmelo rips it away.
That's interesting. Bruton actually was going to go to Iowa State and play for Tim Floyd, but the NCAA determined that he was a professional, having played in Australia before he went to junior college.
Carmelo for 3.
Oh, no. See, that's just too fast. Too fast on the shot clock, and he didn't move any defenders.
And he had a long guy on him in David Anderson.
Yep.
Here is Seville. He's got a size advantage on Darren Williams. He's posting him up. Spins, turns inside, and he missed the finger roll badly.
I think he airballed the finger roll.
That was brutal. LeBron James now turns it over. And I have a question for you. Are you all in? ESPN is dealing coverage of the 2008 World Series of Poker Tuesday nights. Be there for the drama of the flop, the turn, and the river. The 2008 World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light on ESPN. All new Tuesdays at 8 and 9 Eastern Time. Back with more second quarter action from Shanghai right after this.
532, 533, 530.
Crazy times call for crazy fun. Enter the Ultimate Vegas Escape Sweepstakes at visitlasvegas.com.
Best 7 out of 12?
Crap. I'd love to, but I can't. 24 Hour Fitness is a proud partner of the 2008 U.S. Olympic team and of everyday athletes everywhere.
Hey, you want to come to our barbecue this weekend?
Actually, I'll be in China.
You could have just said no.
Welcome back to Shanghai, China, the final warm-up for the United States before the Beijing Olympics. They lead by 3 here over Australia, and the Australians are nicknamed the Boomers, and it's for a large, fully grown male kangaroo. Some minutia for you here, and here's a look at some history from the Australian national team. 10 consecutive Olympic appearances, and their best finish was 4th. They did that 88, 96, and 2000 when they hosted the Olympics. That was the last time the Americans won a gold medal in the Olympics.
Well, yeah, you got to keep in mind they play in FIBA. It's FIBA Oceania, so once you get past American Samoa and Guam, you got to deal with the tall blacks of New Zealand. But it's a relatively easy region, but it doesn't discount the fact that these guys have produced some pretty good players, and they have something in Australia called the Australian Institute of Sport, which is basically a sports academy for various sports. And their basketball academy has produced some very good players. And you think of Andrew Ogilvy right now of Vanderbilt and Patrick Mills of St. Mary's. A lot of these Australian kids wind up gravitating to the NCAA and doing really well. And obviously Andrew Bogut, the only non-USA player to ever be the Wooden and Naismith Award winner.
Shame on you for sleeping on Guam like that. Michael Redd misses the 3.
I told the Guam Basketball Federation I would get them into this broadcast today.
Did they want the negative press though? Hey, any press is good press, right?
That's right. Oh, David Anderson with a little bow to Carmelo Anthony.
These Australians are feisty. And so are the ladies. And they are, of course, the reigning world champions. Kobe splits the defense, gets by Bruton, and he's short with the shot. Bruton does track it down nicely. Feeds up ahead to Newley, going for the jam. He missed the jam, but it went in. Defended up high by Kobe.
Terrific look by Bruton. Now that started off of a one-on-one by Kobe. Missed the shot, and that allowed the Aussies to get out in transition. You see how they keep their defense packed in inside that three-point line as much as possible.
Newley and Mills lead the Australians with 7. Wade leads the Americans with 8, and LeBron James puts it in.
Now, if you're Brian Gorgian, you're going to take your chances that LeBron James is going to make that shot all night over a contested hand. Obviously, the great individual play of James, but you've got to play the odds if you're Australia.
Ansi, nice feed to David Anderson, and the USA left the back door open.
The only thing I was looking for Ansi to do was put the ball under his shirt like Meadowlark Lemon.
LeBron, did he fall asleep a little bit right there?
Sure he did.
K.Bryant directing LeBron.
See, right now LeBron's playing 1-on-3.
Behind the back to his good buddy Carmelo Anthony, blocked from behind by Ansi, and Chris Ansi comes up with the rebound, knocked away by Carmelo. LeBron down there digging for it as well, and we have a jump ball. And settle down, guys. That was Worthington and LeBron James. You gotta like this effort.
Worthington's a guy that was the Division II.
I think he got a successful pin right there.
Yeah.
On LeBron.
I think had to take down. He got 2 points.
Is that how they score it? Mike Krzyzewski not feeling as comfortable in that USA basketball shirt today, is he?
Well, this is a good test. You know, we talked about this in the last game against Russia. Team USA right now almost bored. You almost think they're looking ahead, and you know, they're in Beijing mentally, but physically they're still in Shanghai.
The Olympics begin on Friday, and the Americans' first game will be Sunday against the host country, China.
And what the fan has to understand is that the world has changed forever when it comes to, you know, international basketball amongst the elite teams.
Again, no ball movement for the United States. It's LeBron with a kick out to Kobe Bryant, and he draws a foul, and another ill-advised foul on the perimeter by the Australians. And the upcoming schedule, we told you about the China game, then it's Angola, Greece, Spain, Germany. That is preliminary round play, and there's a chance the Americans may meet the Australians in either the quarters or the semis.
That's right, and 4 teams will advance out of the 6 in each group. And then when you get to medal play, it's one and done. There's no best of 7. Back in '04, Spain blew through the group play, lost to Team USA in the quarterfinals, ended up 7-1, 7 wins, 1 loss in the tournament, finished 7th in the tournament.
Kobe with 5. What's your favorite nickname for him? Mamba or Doberman?
Oh, I love Doberman. I love the fact that he has taken on that role as a defensive guy. I think that helps Mike Krzyzewski delineate roles and responsibilities when you got arguably maybe the best player in the world getting down and dirty, and you see right now picking up full court.
Yeah, and picking on David Barlow, and Kobe gets it up ahead to LeBron James, who matches it down.
And Kobe is Team USA's best on-ball defender because of the combination of size, quickness, and length.
LeBron wears number 6. He has 6, and the lead is 6 for the Americans, and more pressure defense by K.Bryant.
Good example right there. And this is where the Aussies have been pretty good in the first 15 minutes, taking care of the ball. Team USA really has feasted in this exhibition tour on sloppy play and turnovers. But the key now is, can they execute in a half court when it's 5 versus 5 and your opponent is playing inside the three-point line?
LeBron James, he is in full effect at this point. He has 9, and the Americans lead by 9.
And this is the feast or famine that we talked about. You have got to give up something if you're going to play Team USA. And right there, you saw how far the gold shirt was off LeBron, and LeBron said, look, you know, that's a mid-range jumper for me 82 nights a year. I'm going to shoot this ball.
And now C.J. Bruton says, Kobe, you really got to take me. Come on, man. I'm trying to do something out here. They're going with a 2-point guard look with Bruton and Mills in the game at the same time. Red checks out, and the Americans on an 8-0 run to take this 9-point lead. And good coaching by Gorgon. He saw Barlow tied up by Kobe, so I got to get a couple of ball handlers out here.
See, now if you're Mike Krzyzewski, you try to take advantage of that on the offensive end, because one of those guys is going to have to guard K.Bryant or D.Wade.
LeBron left open again. A little bit long with that one, tracked down by Kobe.
See, now you got the 6-foot Bruton on Kobe.
LeBron's looking for that dunk, and he gets an and one because he can hang in the air like that.
Now that offensive rebound and the kick out to LeBron, that created a lot of space. See how much space now as Australia really didn't regroup in a half court and build that wall around LeBron.
The Americans flexing here in quarter number 2 in Shanghai. Please don't go anywhere.
You know, little brother, when we grow up, we should move from Texas to Oregon. We'll open a barbecue joint and call it Buster's.
Whoa, why not Steve?
We'll call it Buster's because I'm older and I'm taller.
Yeah, so?
And I'm wearing the white hat.
Buster's is now celebrating 25 years of real hand-rubbed, slow-smoked Texas-style barbecue. Taste for yourself why Buster's is so popular.
But I get to do the cooking.
Just sing the song, Steve.
Buster's Barbecue.
Comcast means business. Now there's Comcast Business Class. You can get voice, internet with Microsoft Communication Services, and TV together for one low price. All backed by 24/7 technical support and a local account rep who knows you and where you do business. It's time to work better, faster, smarter. It's time to turn your office on with Comcast Business Class. Now just $99 a month. Call today.
On Wednesday Night Baseball, the Bronx Bombers, led by Alex Rodriguez, head to Rangers Ballpark to take on Josh Hamilton and Fran Fraschillas' Texas Rangers. Wednesday Night Baseball, ESPN at 8 Eastern. And before the game, it's Baseball Tonight presented by CDW at 7 Eastern. For more on all of that and everything in the world of sports, log on to ESPN.com. The Americans on a 10-0 run, the last 7 by that man, LeBron James, and counting.
Well, they've gotten it off transition. They've gotten it off offensive rebounds. LeBron nailed the one open jumper. And what we've seen out of Australia, much like Russia, is they don't have the depth and athleticism to probably play the way they did for 40 minutes. But they've done a reasonably good job of controlling tempo until the last couple minutes.
K.Bryant with the foul on C.J. Bruton. LeBron James leads everybody now with 12. Are there too many of those perimeter fouls by the Americans? We saw that happen a little bit against Russia. Another one right there by K.Bryant. Do they need to stay away from that?
Well, here's your dilemma. Their defense is predicated on great ball pressure, but the problem is you're talking about FIBA play and only 5 team fouls. So that what you don't want to do is fouling negates hustle. So you don't want to pick up a cheap one and now have to sit one of your better players because of the 5-foul rule in FIBA.
And LeBron James did foul out of the game against Russia. Darren Williams came up with the loose ball, and he was fouled by David Anderson of Australia. And Dwight Howard had 4 fouls in the previous game. You expected from Dwight, a big man down there banging around, but the perimeter guys like LeBron James, they got to stay out of foul trouble.
Well, they do, and yet, as I mentioned, the key to the defense has been just how active they've been. And we talked about not just steals, but deflections, balls that get deflected, even if the opponent recovers it. And now you're down in the shot clock. You've got to make something happen, play one-on-one, and that's not how you want to play Team USA.
Darren Williams at the line, leading this team in assists at 6.3. He signed a long extension previously this summer. Carlos Boozer is up next summer, his teammate, of course, on the U.S. Olympic team and the Utah Jazz. Booz said of this whole situation, we already have our thing lined up. And when asked about our thing, Boozer said, you guys are going to have to wait and see.
Now, there was some talk a few weeks ago about trading him, prior to his contract ending. I know the Miami Heat were mentioned.
Carlos lives in Miami and deflected out of bounds by the United States. Coach K does not agree. And that's one of the deflections you were talking about, Fran. And it seems like, especially now with 5 on the shot clock, very, very tough circumstance for the Australians.
Oh, that's what you want to do. You don't have to steal it, but just bother the man with the ball.
Worthington rejected by LeBron James into the 3rd row.
And now there's only 1 on the shot clock, and that's what you need to do. You just need to be solid. Just stay in front of your man, bother the ball, and make teams beat you over the top. They got it.
Great idea, but Newley just couldn't get up high enough. He's 6'6", needed to be 6'7". Dwight Howard knocked away from him. Did they have to foul on Anderson or on Worthington? It's on Anderson.
Dwight Howard has been pretty quiet these last couple exhibition games. Again, they don't run a lot of stuff for him inside. He's more of a go get it off the boards or get out in transition guy for Team USA. Part of it is the trapezoid lane. You're posting up further away from the basket.
Foul trouble for Anderson. He has 3, thus Anstey back into the game for the Australians. And the Americans are happy to see Anstey back out there. He was chirping earlier in the game.
No Andrew Bogut today because of the ankle sprain. And then there's a guy that just signed a long-term deal. $72 million, I believe.
What I heard that it's $72 million if he meets all of his incentives. So it's not necessarily $72 million guaranteed, more like $12 million a year guaranteed. But some people may say, hey, that's a heck of a lot of money for a guy who really hasn't done anything in the NBA, no all-stars and all of this kind of thing. I totally disagree. Last year he came into his own, 14.3 points, 9.8 rebounds, and this is the big stat, 1.7 blocks. And that was a huge improvement over his first couple years.
And really the strength of Andrew Bogut's game is as a passer in the low post. He's more of a facilitator of your offense, and he's only 23 years old.
Right, and I'm not even talking about the assists, which is like 3-4 a game. He's already one of the best passing big men in the league. Good no call right there into the corner. Worthington missed it, and back come the Americans. They're up 13. Here's number 13 dazzling you with the rock.
You see how quickly those 5 gold shirts get back to the lane, and you see how they build their defense. Everybody inside the 3-point line.
Dwight Howard, double team. They move it around. Chris Paul for 3. That was contested, and he missed it. Tapped up by Wade. Nothing doing. Dwight Howard had it taken away nicely underneath by Newley. And back comes Mills. Shot out of a cannon. Lefty layup is good.
Now he went right by Darren Williams, coast to coast. Young man will be a sophomore at St. Mary's in Moraga. St. Mary's, Gonzaga, San Diego, 3 of the better teams in that league. But this guy, he came into his own this year as a freshman.
And it's going the other way with 1:32 to go. A foul called on the U.S.
And once again, if you look at the score, if you're Brian Goorjian, you love the fact that you've held Team USA to 38 points in just over 18 minutes. Now, they don't have the offensive firepower, particularly without Bogut today, Rick. But tempo-wise, they are showing some teams later on in the Olympic tournament, you know, how to at least stay with Team USA.
Intercepted by the Americans. D.Wade to LeBron, and he puts it in.
Again, once the steal, the defense creating offense for Team USA.
14 already for the King. The Americans lead by 13, just over a minute to go in the first half of the final friendly before it gets a little bit unfriendly in Beijing when they're going for gold. That's Chris Anstey. A couple of free throws coming up for him.
Boy, that time Australia did a really good job of running their half-court offense. Little Princeton Pete Carrill look right there, and they got Anstey rolling to the rim. Team USA fell asleep on that possession.
LeBron James, #1 on Time Magazine's Olympic athletes to watch, and I concur.
And he's guaranteed gold.
So did Carmelo. D.Wade already has a gold medal tour planned for when he gets back to the States. I hope they hold up their end of the bargain on the court.
It's going to be a fun couple weeks of basketball. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, as an American, you know, you love watching Team USA. They've done a lot of things right. They've put together a team with great chemistry, great leadership. But the simple fact is, especially as they move further on in the Olympic tournament, you know, Spain right now and Greece, they play the game as well as anybody in the world, although they may not have the level of talent that Team USA does. There's more emphasis on ball movement, and only because that's the way they've been conditioned to play. The NBA game is simply an isolation game for the most part. Pick and roll, and the way the rules are set up, that's how these guys are used to playing. I think they need a little bit more ball movement in their offense.
Tayshaun Prince straddling the line, and it's not close. Rebound comes out to Darren Williams. Drives on Anstey. D.Wade hanging, and a couple of free throws coming up for D.Wade with 38 seconds to go in the first half.
You know, it's interesting. David Jones out there officiating. The one thing I would, and I mentioned this even when I watched Team USA practice and scrimmage with FIBA officials, even for this tour, I would have had 3 guys officiate. I would not have had an American official, you know, with us. I would have had 3 guys from various parts of the world officiating just to get used to, you know, the language barrier and the different types of officiating you see globally.
Well, I hope Chris Bosh is okay with dealing with rejection, because he just tried to check into the game and the official said, get out of here. And coming up at halftime, the USA exhibition recap. This is the 5th and final game. We have Fran Fraschella's Olympic predictions, and we also have highlights and analysis. So stay tuned on ESPN2 through the half. Chris Bosh has been allowed to check into the game now. Very gracious of the officials. Mills, baseline, Jay, in and out.
Now, get one shot. And obviously, you don't want the Aussies to get another possession here.
D.Wade, step back Jay is short. Wow, the jump shots have been errant for the most part from USA in this game.
And that's been by design, because as we mentioned at the beginning of this game, Brian Goorjian's strategy is if you can take away transition and you can keep Team USA on the perimeter and force contested jump shots. And that's been pretty good in terms of slowing the tempo to this point.
Chris Bosh at the line. Josh, just 23 years old. One of the most fleet big men in the game today. His blow-by move is virtually unstoppable. 1 second left. Mills does get it off, and he almost banked it in. LeBron James, the king, has been in full effect. He has 14 points to lead the Americans. D.Wade has 10 and a 15-point lead for the USA as we head to halftime. Fran and I back with coverage in a moment.
You know, it's not all fun and games when you're a mascot. Every year I find myself where the season always ends meets the bills never stop.
You know that place where you realize even a squirrel can't live off peanuts? Well, maybe you don't, but believe me, I'm there.
Here's a way to score on savings.
Nice.
Switch your car insurance to State Farm. You'll save big, plus get a payment plan that fits your budget. Call, click, or visit and start saving today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know I wear this everywhere.
What if there was one offense to battle any defense? A system that would adjust to any coach's philosophy. Better Basketball has the answer. Rick Torbett's Read and React offense. Listen to NCAA champion coach Bill Self on the Read and React.
I believe it's the future of developmental basketball.
This is one of those things that's once-in-a-lifetime thing.
This is the most groundbreaking thing in basketball since the motion offense.
To watch free previews of all the Better Basketball DVDs, call 1-800-BETTER-B or visit betterbasketball.com.
When you're the greatest golfer on earth, what's next? New Gatorade Tiger with 25% more electrolytes. It's in Tiger Woods. Is it in you?
Get 0% APR for 72 months on these 2008 Chevy Silverados.
I'm poolside with John Graham, MVP of the Graham Honeymoon. John, what was the key for you this week?
Well, I just really wanted to come out here and play my game, get the latest info on my fantasy players, then set my roster for total domination.
Can you describe your emotions?
Excited, proud, stuffed. That buffet's pretty robust.
Okay, back to you guys in the studio.
Be an ESPN MVP. Manage your fantasy teams, get live game casts, exclusive commentary, and more with Bcast, only from America's most entertaining network, Verizon Wireless.
And we welcome you back to the Chi-Chong Arena here in Shanghai. At the half, the United States leading Australia 44-29. Rick Hamlet and the coach, Fran Fraschilla. And let's take a look back at the first 4 games of this pre-Olympic tour, starting with the 55-point drubbing in Vegas over Canada.
Well, I think what's happened is the competition started to increase, and you're not seeing quite the level of highlight plays that we saw from Canada in Las Vegas. But what a great atmosphere that was. A great send-off to Team USA as they headed to the Far East. And then the transition against Turkey, a young team, but Team USA again off the defense, turning it into really nothing much more than a highlight reel.
And everybody's ducking the U.S. Hedo Turkoglu didn't play in that game. Bogut not playing here today. And then against Lithuania, the United States just shut down Jasikevičius.
They really did. Again, pressure defense, particularly by K.Bryant on Jasikevičius, one of the best guards in Europe. and it led to a lot of this. And again, the defense and the pressure, the deflections, the steals has been a big part of the offense. And then it changed a little, Rick, because although this was one of only 15 fast break points for Team USA, the steal by LeBron, Coach David Blatt did a nice job of controlling the tempo. And K.Bryant eluding the Russian defender with the 360.
And that was the closest game to this point on the pre-Olympic tour. The Russians lost by 21. And a look here at the USA against their first 4 opponents. Note the scoring, 111 to 75. They're a plus 36. And Fran, you wanted to highlight the rebounding. The big bad United States only a plus 2.
Well, and it's not a team built around physicalness inside, and so that you don't have the rebounding margin maybe that you'd like to have. But overall, I like the composition of the team in terms of the versatility on the perimeter.
And the shooting superlative for the United States, 64 overall, 47% from three-point range. And Professor Fraschilla, what have we learned through these first 4.5 games?
Well, we know this team likes playing together. The chemistry has been good since day one, since Jerry Colangelo put this team together. The offense is simple, I think, by design. There's not a lot of ball movement. It really allows for these guys to play one-on-one. That might not necessarily be a great thing, in my opinion, but I think Mike Krzyzewski's letting them do their thing. Outside shooting, to this point, has not been a problem from the three-point line, but you're going to see teams take chances like today with Australia, pack it in. Ball pressure, a big thing for Team USA, disrupting the opponent's offense, and then they've got to continue to clean up pick-and-roll defense, which today has been pretty good, actually.
LeBron James, arguably the greatest player in the world. He has 14 to lead everybody here at the half. And remember that ankle injury? Stepped on the foot of Kevin Durant in a practice before this pre-Olympic tour began. What ankle injury. LeBron looks great, and Team USA leading at the half by 15.
$532, $533, $530.
Crazy times call for crazy fun. Enter the Ultimate Vegas Escape Sweepstakes at visitlasvegas.com.
A sweet summer tradition. August 15th through the 24th on ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC. Presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Baseball is back at the Crater as Spokane comes to town for a 5-game series. Cancer Awareness Weekend starts Friday, August 15th with a spectacular post-game fireworks show. This is the show you've heard about. The fun continues Saturday night with a special start time of 5:05, followed by a post-game concert by Liquid Assets. All cancer survivors are invited to meet the Volcanoes on the field prior to Sunday's game, and everyone will enjoy the rock and roll sound of Johnny Limbo and the Lugnuts as they perform their 30th anniversary concert right after the game. Buy your tickets today by calling 503-390-2225. Volcanoes Baseball, it's major fun.
With everything at stake in the upcoming election, it's critical to know where the candidates stand. That's why there's Elections 08 on Demand, where you'll find all the information you need on interests, issues, facts, and candidates. Elections 08 on Demand. Vote smart.
Press 890 on your digital remote or from your Channel 1 on-demand menu. Select News and World, then Elections 08.
Back at the half with Gatorade Cooler Talk. And the talk around the cooler are the groups A and B at the upcoming Beijing Olympics. The Americans in Group B, and Group A led by Argentina, Australia in that group as well, Lithuania and Russia, also Iran. But you like those three at the bottom of Group B, pretty power-packed.
Well, I do. I think most people would feel that Group B is the tougher group. And again, as long as Team USA advances in one of the top 4 spots, I think playing Greece and Spain actually helps them, gets them ready. Now, when they play in group play, do they hold some things back? And the coaches will do that, particularly the coach at Spain, Aieto, is one of the best in Europe. Is Coach K holding anything back for group play? That's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see. But obviously, you want to finish in your top 4. And then once you get to August 20th, everything becomes one and done.
The Americans start against China. That is Sunday, August 10th. Then it's Angola, then Greece, then Spain, then Germany. That is the preliminary round for the United States. And note that there are no back-to-backs. There is a day off between every single one of those games, and no Argentina in your predicted 1 through 3 in the Olympics.
Well, Argentina, one of those teams that they've lost their point guard, Pepe Sanchez. Obviously, Ginobili's been somewhat not 100%. Oberto played 100 games this year. To me, Argentina is every bit as capable of winning a medal. I like this order, and I like Spain and the United States in a monster matchup, a 10-point game in the gold medal game.
Well, I hope we see that gold medal game, because those are the 2 marquee teams heading to the Beijing Olympics. We head to break. Back with more halftime coverage in just a moment.
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball, brought to you by Chevy, an American Revolution, and the Nike Hyperdunk.
Now, get a 2008 Chevy Aveo LS sedan for $12,330.
This copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, otherwise distributed, or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.
We welcome you back to Shanghai. The Americans lead by 15 in time for the Nike first half highlights, and no Andrew Bogut for the Australians, out with an ankle injury and wearing a watch on the bench.
I think he knew he wasn't playing from the get-go. But I'll tell you, a scrappy Australian team, especially early on, and these guys don't back down from you. Team USA getting out in transition, but these are a rough bunch of guys usually internationally. Aussies known for their competitive spirit. Of course, they play that Australian rules football without any equipment. And a little sleight of hand right there. But the defense really, I think, took over. Led by K.Bryant. Transition was a big part of why that lead expanded.
And the McDonald's game track shows us that the United States ended the first half on an 18-4 run. They outscored the Aussies 22-10 in the second quarter, and LeBron leads everybody with 14 points. And we are back underway in the third quarter. There's a look at the tatted-up king. The United States shot 44% in the first half. The Aussies 39%. Matthew Nielsen out to Barlow, and the Aussies start the third quarter in style.
Very sharp ball movement off the pick and roll. Actually, Team USA did a good job of rotating out of that pick and roll defense, but the Aussies found the open man.
Here is LeBron, 6 of 7 from the field in the first half. Backing down Barlow, left it short.
But you know, he backs him down, but he's wider because of the trapezoid. And there were still 5 jerseys inside that 3.3-second line. So the missed shot means the Aussies are going to come up with that rebound.
Newley with the drive, gets by the defense, and it rings in.
And Newley, solid young player, mentioned property of the Houston Rockets.
LeBron James with a nice catch on the baseline, and he was forced out of bounds by Australia. Newley has 9 points. He is a nice-looking player, and Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, agrees. He took Newley 54th overall in the 2007 NBA draft, and Newley last year rewarded that pick with a Greek All-Star appearance.
He, as you see, Dwight Howard inside off the inbounds. Newley made 8 straight threes in a Greek League game this year, so we saw the athleticism, his ability to get to the rim on that last possession, but also shoots the ball well.
Big Dwight now with 4. The lead is 12 for the United States. David Anderson forgot something. Here's Kidd for the United States playing in the second half after not playing in the second half against Russia. Mello with the miss, and here's Bruton. That Kidd did not play in the second half because Coach K wanted to experiment with Paul and Williams against zone defenses as Barlow hits. Do you agree with that theory?
I think he's resting Jay Kidd, and I think we said this from the very beginning. I think Darren Williams is going to be a key to Team USA. His size and strength and athleticism, his ability to get into the lane versus zones. He's a scoring guard, whereas Jason Kidd, you got to remember, if you're going to play against Team USA, you're not going to guard Jason Kidd. You're going to back off of him and make him shoot jump shots. So at some point, his leadership has been outstanding, but his lack of scoring is going to be a liability.
Oh, was that a nice block by Carmelo Anthony on a terrific move to the hoop by Newley. Bruton cashes in a 3, and Australia within 6.
What have we said? When they don't turn the ball over and they run crisp half-court offense, they're getting good looks.
An 11-2 run to start the third quarter for Australia. Here is K.Bryant, and it's taken away.
Well, this is, again, lack of half-court offensive execution by Team USA has started to rear its ugly head the last 2 games.
Newley got by K.Bryant, but Kobe knocked it out of bounds, and it is off of Kobe. And here's a look at Coach K, and this is something you've been big on. They have not called a timeout yet in this pre-Olympic tour. Might this be a good opportunity to break them in timeout style?
I really believe that if you're going to respect your opponents, there's nothing wrong with calling a timeout or 2 or 3 throughout this exhibition tour, because in the last 3 minutes of a close game against Spain, when you call the timeout, you don't want it to be foreign territory.
It looked like Matthew Nielsen tipped that one out of bounds, and they're saying that it went off of the United States.
You saw a lot of consternation on the part of the blue shirts, and you just got to quickly regain your composure and keep playing.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say the Americans are on the ropes right now, but oh, that was a nice hoop by David Barlow, and the Australians within 4. But, you know, again, I mean, this is a situation where you may need to restore order if you're Coach K.
Well, the key here is that Australia is taking care of the basketball, and they're running very effective half-court offense.
K.Bryant down low to Mello. He missed underneath because the Aussies are playing rigid defense.
Now, you can't call a timeout until there's a dead ball, so let's just see if they do call one. And again, the coach can only call a timeout. No player on the floor can.
Here's Nielsen hitting over Carmelo Anthony, and the Australians back within 4. 6:14 to go in the third. This is a confident bunch. Here's Kidd, passed up the 3. Mello spinning it on Nielsen, and he's fouled.
And in my opinion now, you'll see Darren Williams in shortly.
And a timeout to Australia. 6:01 to go in the third quarter. The United States leading by only 4.
Where can you find me? At the intersection of my new life and my new lifestyle. Driving.
Wheatgrass?
Yeah, have a sit.
Change of scenery? A State Farm agent will be there to help you get the right coverage at a great price.
You know that place where there's never a rain delay? I am so there.
Call, click, or visit and start saving today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What's this? It's wheatgrass. So what do you think of my screenplay?
We have all been saddened by the news of the recent earthquake in China.
I just want to let you know that we are here to help you get through this tragic disaster. Remember,
we stand with you.
we will stand with you.
And we are ready to help.
We do our best to help you through this disaster.
What does Watkins Glen mean? It means giving both pedals a workout. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ESPN, Sunday at 1 Eastern at Watkins Glen.
Here's a rhetorical question for you. Are you all in? ESPN is dealing coverage of the 2008 World Series of Poker Tuesday nights. Be there for the drama of the flop, the turn, and the river. It's the 2008 World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light on ESPN. All new Tuesdays at 8 and 9 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Rick Hamlin, Fran Fraschilla on the call for ESPN2. And a look at the Chichong Arena here in Shanghai, and the Mellow Man at the free throw line. The Americans lead by only 4 because the Australians have been on a 15-4 and now 15-5 run to start this third quarter.
Now, interestingly, we've just been told that that last timeout was by Coach K, so that was the first timeout they have called in the this pre-Olympic tour. You think back to 1992 when Chuck Daly went through the entire Olympic Games not having to call a timeout. But I think that's a good one. I think not only do you send a message, but you have to practice adversity type situations. You know, the biggest job Coach K has right now is just crisis management, the things that come up over the course of a long 2-week tournament.
Anstey spinning on Howard. Barlow, pretty good fake on Carmelo. Into the corner. In and out with that 3, and rebounded by Carmelo. Walks the tightrope and saves it into LeBron. Kidd into the teeth of the D. Out to K.Bryant for 3. Knocks it down. The United States back by 9.
Nice rhythm jumper right there. Good penetration by Kidd to get into the lane. And when he got a piece of the paint, he sucked in Kobe's man, and Kobe had the open look.
Kobe has 9. Mills back into the game for C.J. Bruton.
Mills is like a punt returner. He's going to run a few back. He'll fumble a couple because he's only 19 years old. But the guy's a game breaker.
He's got some Dante Hall in him, doesn't he? He is quick.
And Brian Corgins did a nice job today of letting him play. He had 14 against Argentina in that close loss a few days ago.
Is he an NBA prospect, Fran?
He is. He's small, but oh, nice look.
Yes, that was Nielsen to Anstey.
Yeah, based on the first year in college basketball, he is. But he is tiny. He's about 5'10". But great look down the lane. You see the double team, but no rotation from the weak side. Melo anticipating to jump that passing lane, but you got, anytime you double team the low post, you got to protect the rim from the weak side.
No protecting the rim against Carmelo Anthony when he has menace in mind. He puts USA back up by 9. 4:30 to go in the third quarter.
Now, this is a good test for Team USA because Australia really does a good job of running their half-court offenses, so you have to stay disciplined. Stay within your assignments.
Anstey. Yes, he hits a 3. He said, why not? And the Australians within 6 without Andrew Bogut.
And he's the ultimate pick and pop guy, Anstey.
Carmelo off. Rebounded by Kidd. Looking for a cutter. Up high to Dwight. Dwight turns. Dwight scores.
See, now, right now, you got Australia's got Anderson with 4 fouls. You don't have Bogut in there, so if you're Team USA, you got to think a little bit now and say, let's try to exploit Australia where they might be vulnerable and just pound it inside.
And Chris Bosh coming into the game for the United States, maybe Coach K has that exactly in mind. Howard now has 6. We haven't seen Carlos Boozer yet today.
Carlos Boozer and Tayshaun Prince, if you look at it, they're probably the 11th and 12th men on this squad. The way that the minutes have played out in the rotations throughout the game.
It's pretty good, huh? Prince and Booz, 11 and 12. Anstey to Nielsen. And rebounded by Chris Bosh. Chris Paul. Is it just me, Fran, or has Paul been kind of quiet the last couple of games?
He has been, and one of the things that Australia has done today is they're just playing off him and really daring him to shoot, taking away the paint.
Kobe. Couple of free throws coming up for KB10, 3-time NBA champion, looking for his first gold medal, and what a ball fake.
You get the feeling the fans here are more excited about the show that Kobe can put on.
Well, they have embraced Kobe here in Shanghai. They chant MVP when he's at the line. We're probably going to hear that chant right now. There it is. They love their basketball here in China. It's been documented 300 million Chinese play the game of basketball, let alone all the other millions that watch and play.
Amazingly, they can't come up with a point guard yet for their national team. They do have some really good big guys, and actually the coach of the Chinese team, Jonas Kozlauskas, was Del Harris's assistant. Del, the longtime NBA coach, LA Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, of course with the Dallas Mavericks for many years now, consulting with them. But one area they need to improve on with all the young players they're developing here is guard play. Certainly Yi and Yao, Wang Zhu had some quality big guys.
Sun Yui, drafted by the Lakers a year or two ago. Here's Worthington knocking it down, and Australia just hanging around.
They take care of the basketball. They spread you out. They run their offense crisply.
LeBron left alone. Faded a little bit on that shot, and a loose ball foul called on Chris Bosh. 2:34 to go in the third, and the Americans lead only by 7. This has been the most competitive of the 5 pre-Olympic games thus far.
Well, credit Brian Gorgian. You know, we saw this with David Blatt, the coach of Russia. Just his main goal was to control the tempo of the game. And we've talked about how they did it. They didn't send a lot to the offensive glass. They got everybody back. You take care of the basketball, run your offense crisply, and even if you don't make the shot, look at Mills.
Just rolled off the rim for him.
Now, you know, one thing I've noticed about Mills is a lot of his explosive drives are with his left hand. So make him use his right hand. See if he, watch this now. He's very, very good with his left hand, and that's not uncommon for a right-handed point guard. And, you know, hopefully the scouting report, we know Tony Ronzoni from the Detroit Pistons is in charge of scouting, so you really want to be on top of these little things. It's amazing how many right-handed point guards love to explode with their left. And Mills has done that 3 or 4 times against pretty good competition. So make him use the right hand. See if he has that same level of quickness.
I missed them both, and the rebound to Chris Bosh. Chris Paul up to D.Wade. Tries to get by Barlow. Pretty good D up, and he drops it down beautifully to Chris Bosh.
Well, anytime you can get the ball handler to get a piece of the paint, you're going to draw gold jerseys, and that left Bosh right at the rim. Take a look. 2 jerseys collapse, and Bosh, like a smart big man will do, will head to the rim on a baseline drive. Just get to the middle of the lane, and your ball handlers will find you.
Here's Wade. Leaves it in with the left hand, and a moment ago, you really got a feeling for what it feels like to get dunked on by a guy like Chris Bosh.
You got a good point of view angle right there.
Wade with 12. The lead is 11 for the Americans. Here's Newley shielding Paul, and he follows his miss.
Good effort by the 23-year-old.
LeBron into the corner for Darren Williams. Misses the shot over Newley.
Well, we mentioned this earlier. Not a lot of great ball movement in the half-court offense for USA. So much of their offense comes off athleticism and explosiveness.
Barlow turns the corner on Wade, and he throws it up and in with the left hand against two defenders.
Let me tell you, the minute D. Wade reached for the ball on the perimeter, Barlow was gone. Wade lost his center of balance, and that allowed Barlow to get all the way to the rim.
Here's LeBron. Oh, what a nice pass to Chris Bosh. He converts again.
Great look. That's what we talked about. Bosh and Howard, all they got to do is stay ready. You don't have to run offense through them. But the ability of Team USA to break you down off the dribble is going to create scoring for Bosh.
David Anderson searching for his shot against Bosh, and he traveled. Bosh really pulled the chair out from under David Anderson.
Amazing how many big guys in the low post need contact to get their move going.
The United States by 9, number 9, leading the way here in the third. How good has D.Wade looked in these 5 games?
While filming a movie, 3 of Hollywood's biggest stars were kidnapped.
Were there some rewrites?
Now they'll have to stop acting and start fighting back.
Those dudes was trained soldiers.
Yeah. And we trained actors.
Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr.
Hot damn.
Tropic Thunder.
Somebody close to you said, one more flop, it's over.
Somebody said they were close to me?
August 13, rated R.
Best 7 out of 12?
Cramp. I'd love to, but I can't.
24-Hour Fitness is a proud partner of the 2008 U.S. Olympic team and of everyday athletes everywhere.
Hey, you want to come to our barbecue this weekend?
Actually, I'll be in China.
You could have just said no.
We welcome you back to Shanghai. Next stop for Team USA is Beijing for the Olympics. And here's some of the records in international play for these young guys. Dwight Howard's 18-1. Carmelo and LeBron 23-4. Kobe and Kidd have never lost a game in international play. And I'm not talking about exhibitions, just the games that matter. Kobe 10-0. Jason Kidd 38-0. Michael Redd's never lost. He's 10-0. Darren Williams, Tayshaun Prince also undefeated at 10-0, and Carmelo Anthony and Team USA, and especially, you know, Carmelo and LeBron and Wade and also Carlos Boozer. Yes. They were on the 04 team that lost 3 games. The U.S. Olympic program in its history had lost 2 coming into the 2004 Olympics. You know they're bloodthirsty for victory.
Well, D. Wade said, hey, it wasn't, you know, we had talent and we had good guys. They just didn't play together.
Wade lost it, and out of bounds to USA.
I don't think anybody can question the chemistry and the makeup. You maybe question the makeup and say they need another big guy, but in terms of the chemistry of this team, everybody has bought in. Sean Redditch, young man who played at Arizona State, former Nebraska Player of the Year. He's an expat now playing for Australia.
Closing seconds of the third. Wade with the crossover. Wade slithering, and there are zeros on the clock. The foul was called before. And D.Wade just showing you the athleticism and the explosiveness that is all the way back after surgery on his shoulder and his knee.
Now in college basketball, you could go to the monitor to determine whether that foul, and we, you know, assuming this clock is right, you could go to the monitor to determine whether the foul took place either before or after you hit the triple zeros. It's obviously not an issue here.
Kobe on the bench with 10.
Point.
They're 4 in double figures for the Americans.
Oh, I see up at the top of our screen there, 0.7 on the clock. Up on the over the board.
Is that up here in the upper left? Is that tenths or 100ths?
That looks like 100s to me. I mean, I'm not a math major, but that's 3 zeros there, my friend.
Well, you and I were both history majors, and I was a history major, just basically to duck math.
Yeah,
Never been real
exactly.
good with the digits, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, now I'm confused, but that must be 0.7 hundredths.
Bottom line, USA by 10, and that's it for the third quarter. 10 minutes of action left for USA before the game's counted. Beijing, Chris Bosh, 9 points, most of them in the third. The fourth quarter coming up.
Get 0% APR for 72 months on most 2008 Chevy Tahoes.
Hey, football fans, dominate your fantasy league with ESPN MVP, exclusively from Verizon Wireless. Manage your fantasy teams and be entered for a chance to meet and compete against Matt Berry in a fantasy league. Download now or mail in to enter. Text fantasy to 3776 to learn more.
On the next ESPN First Take, with or without Brett Favre, how will the Vikings fare in 2008? We'll dive into the Purple People Eaters, and we'll introduce you to a pitcher something could be an all-time great, and he's still in the minors. ESPN First Take, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Expand your life, your dreams, your income. A better future is just a click away with Careers on Demand. Just select Searchlight Channel 888 on your Comcast remote. Browse hundreds of constantly updated job openings, organized by category, and powered by PortlandJobFinder.com. Simplify your job search and take the first step toward a better life with Careers on Demand from Comcast Digital Cable.
This is Philadelphia. Save a load of Benjamins. Sign up today for Comcast Digital Voice with unlimited local and long distance plus voicemail. Because the less money you pay, the more you get to keep for yourself. Just call 1-800-COMCAST today. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic.
Welcome back to Shanghai. This is the Chichong Arena. Rick Hamler, Fran Fraschilla on the call for ESPN2. Australia outscored the United States 26-21 in the third. In the first 4 third quarters in this pre-Olympic tour, the Americans outscored their opponents by an average of 10 per quarter as Michael Redd scores. So a surreal third quarter for the Americans. They led by 15 at the half. They led by 10 at the start of the fourth. Now they lead by 12.
No, there's no illusions that you're going to blow through every opponent. And that time, Team USA started with a set play for Michael Redd, took advantage of it.
Anstey almost traveled, defended by Bosch. Anstey saves into Darren Williams. The Americans on the run. And a foul by Bruton, stopping what would have been a fast break hoop, presumably for the U.S.
Well, C.J. Bruton, we mentioned his dad, Cal, played at Wichita State. Cal, a native of New York City, and C.J. born in Wichita. Toyed with the idea of playing Division I. And he did play for the national champion Indian Hills in junior college in Ottumwa, Iowa. Just a little piece of trivia there for you.
Just south of where I grew up in Minneapolis, Dwayne Wade, off of Australia. And the fans of the Milwaukee Bucks are going, really? No Andrew Bogut, and that bucket by Michael Redd was his first of the game. They're like, what about the Bucks?
Off the drive. They ran a jump shot play for him and defended well.
And the Australians give it away. And Michael Redd really has come into his own fully because of that. You know, like Ray Allen, he added that drive to his game to the three-pointer, long ago for Ray. But Michael Redd recently has added the drive to his game, and it's really throwing the defense off.
No, it is. It's like having a fastball and then a curveball. And there's Dwayne Wade off the drive, and that looked like a little junk defense. Almost looked like a box and one.
Was this a screwball by Dwayne Wade?
Tell you, does he have that ability to get into the lane? He's got that sidestep, too.
Newley has the ability to get into the lane as well, but he missed right there. Here is Darren Williams.
See, they just pack in that defense now. Oh, a little matchup zone now.
Michael Redd says, here's your zone buster, but he missed. And a foul over the back on Chris Bosh.
You can tell a team is in a matchup zone because they start pointing and switching. You'll see a guy point, take him, I got him, cutters go through, and they'll go with him, stay. So, again, that's something you don't see in the NBA. You don't see a lot of tricky junk defenses, and not necessarily Greece and Argentina, but the Spanish coach, Aieto, very adept at changing his defenses, and they might even have a defense that Team USA doesn't see the entire Olympics. May come up in the medal round.
Nielsen galloping. He went glass. It was goaltended by D.Wade. I realize Michael Redd missed that 3 a moment ago. Came into this game shooting 57% from long range in the 4 exhibition games prior to this one. Is Michael Redd the best shooter in the world?
Boy, you put me on the spot. I would say he's, you know, he's, I think, wide open he is. I think the issue with Michael Redd is he needs space. He cannot, you know, he cannot shoot necessarily the contested shot, but wide open, nobody near him. You know, he's obviously a great shooter.
Well, there was somebody near Carmelo right there, and he airballed it, and that's his second airball of the game, at least by my unofficial count.
I think you can chase Michael Redd off the three-point line because he's, you know, he's in that 6'4", 6'5" range.
Nielsen was fouled by Darren Williams. And coming up, Wednesday night baseball has the Bronx Bombers, led by Alex Rodriguez. They're heading to Rangers Ballpark to take on Josh Hamilton and the Texas Rangers. Wednesday night baseball, ESPN at 8 Eastern. Before the game, you can catch baseball tonight, presented by CDW at 7 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And Fran, you're from Brooklyn. You live in, do you live in Dallas?
I live in Dallas.
You live in Dallas.
I'm a naturalized citizen of Texas, so I root for the Rangers.
Well, you must be at least a little conflicted, right? Did you grow up watching the Yankees and cheering for the Yankees?
I grew up a Mets fan, but my sons went wayward on me. They're Yankee fans, which is why I root for the Rangers, the best hitting team in the American League. And I'm not just talking Josh Hamilton, who's an absolute phenom, but this Chris Davis, the first baseman, 22 years old, hit the cover off the ball.
No, I just tried to pick him up in my fantasy league. He was already on a team. Fran Fraschilla was giving me fantasy baseball tips. I loved it. Dwight Howard. Oh, he was blocked by Chris Yancey, but a foul. And now, Dwight Howard was looking to bring the house down.
Yes, he was. And this lead now is expanded on the basis of D.Wade's ability to get into the lane here, create for himself. And that time, he created for the big fella.
We know the Rangers can hit.
Pitching.
But can they pitch?
Hey, hard to pitch when it's 100 degrees. Telling you, it's hot. In fact, the Rangers take batting practice indoors this time of year because it's so hot. I went to the ball game last week against the Seattle Mariners.
Well, why don't they get the roof scenario like they have down in Arizona?
I would agree with you.
You know, I mean, for years they've been crying about the heat and the pitching. Well, build a roof.
You know, they got young pitching.
He fouled out. Your own guy.
Dwight Howard off,
and see, and again, he's got the guide hand in front of the ball, which means his shooting hand is actually working against his guide hand. Well, because I don't want to tell Stan Van Gundy, you know, how to teach him how to shoot, but just a little thing that I guess you notice.
Fran, Stan's a humble guy, as you know. I'm sure he's open to you know, all consideration as Dwight Howard misses his 6th consecutive free throw in this basketball game.
And then it obviously becomes mental. It's mechanical first for poor shooters, and then it becomes mental. And obviously we've seen that with guys like Wilt Chamberlain through the years, Shaq. Of course, you're not going to complain about the effort Dwight Howard gives you every night. If you're the Orlando Magic, he's a perpetual 2010 guy.
Tell you what, I'll take 21 and 14 with 2 blocks and 60% from the floor
any night
when I get 60% from the free throw line. K.Bryant from L.A. Short. Good rebound by Chris Paul. It was almost more of a loose ball than a rebound, and Paul, the quickest one to it. K.Bryant slithering Mamba style. He missed it, and the rebound taken by Glenn Seville.
And the Aussies have changed up a little bit. They've gone to a little bit of a matchup zone. They still packing it in. How about Bruton?
Right between the eyes, and Australia within 8.
Well, you're looking at a guy that's 32 years old, and he's played a lot of international basketball, so it doesn't matter who he's playing against right now. Guy's a good player.
Right back at you. Americans back up 10. And we have a timeout on the floor with 5:51 to go in this pre-Olympic tour for USA Basketball.
You know, it's not all fun and games when you're a mascot. Every year I find myself where the season always ends meets the bills never stop.
You know that place where you realize even a squirrel can't live off peanuts? Well, maybe you don't, but believe me, I'm there.
Here's a way to score on savings.
Nice.
Switch your car insurance to State Farm. You'll save big, plus get a payment plan that fits your budget. Call, click, or visit and start saving today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know I wear this everywhere.
While filming a movie, 3 of Hollywood's biggest stars were kidnapped.
You should have got Oscar.
Thank you. That's, I mean, even...
Shut up now!
Now, they'll have to stop acting and start fighting back. Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder.
I don't believe you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Rated R, August 13th.
Get $1,500 total purchase cash on most 2008 Chevy Cobalt models.
And we welcome you back to Shanghai. The United States leads 71-61. And for the best gear on the planet, log on to NBAstore.com now for the best selection of USA basketball gear. Rick Kamla, Fran Fraschilla on the call for ESPN2. A moment ago, I channeled Kevin Harlan with the right between the eyes. And, you know, obviously, this is our last game together, Fran. It has been a blast working with you, and we'll hand it off to Mike Breen and Doug Collins. They will be the primary announcers for U.S. Olympic team at the Beijing Olympics, and we know they will do a superlative job.
Doug Collins was in Las Vegas last week watching Team USA. In fact, he'll have some good inside information because his son, Chris, a member of Mike Krzyzewski's Duke coaching staff, is part of the coaching staff here for Team USA. Steve Wojciechowski and Johnny Dawkins.
And LeBron James with his second ruthless rejection of this game.
So Doug Collins will have all the information he'll need, and boy, I love listening to him and Yubi.
That three-pointer is drained from way downtown by Joe Ingles, who's just checked into the game, and he doesn't need to warm up at all.
Joe's a 20-year-old. He's been an early entry in the NBA draft, pulled his name out again this year. A long, athletic wing player.
Oh, how did Kobe fit that pass through to Wade?
Now, that's been a key now. USA has done a nice job here last stretch of getting into the lane off the dribble.
And that ball will go over to the United States. Are you all in? ESPN is dealing out coverage of the 2008 World Series of Poker Tuesday nights. Be there for all the drama of the flop, the turn, and the river. The 2008 World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light on ESPN. It's all new Tuesdays at 8 and 9 Eastern Time. Under 5 minutes to go. Here is CP13 to Dwight Howard, a.k.a. D. Howitzer.
Well, at the very beginning of this game, we talked about the Aussies playing that packed-in defense. They don't have the athleticism to really guard you on the perimeter, but USA's guards have done a really good job of utilizing that dribble to get into the lane and create some scoring opportunities for guys like Bosch and Dwight Howard.
There has to be people watching at home in the States saying, what's up? The United States up only 11. The Australians without Andrew Bogut. Is this a source for concern? Does this worry you at all, Fran, or is this just another exhibition
It
game?
only worries me because I'm not one of those guys that thinks that that they're going to have an easy time when they get to the playing, as I mentioned, the best teams. Now, you could say boredom. You could say their mind is in Beijing and their bodies are here in Shanghai. But simply put, we play a different style than the rest of the world. The rest of the world revolves on continuity, ball movement, utilizing lesser athletic players with which to get the job done. We do it by overpowering you, and that's not always the best formula.
David Anderson's day is done, and now he's chilling with Andrew Bogut. And when you're in uniform and the other guy's not in uniform, that's not a good place to be. But Anderson, despite foul trouble throughout the entire game, did make it to about the 4-minute mark of the fourth. United States back with it, up 11. Chris Paul just throws it in. That wasn't really a teardrop, not really a jumper. What was that?
It's a shot you need to have when you're his size and you're playing in the league. That's a high paint shot right there. That means I'm not going to get to the low paint.
And that was his first field goal.
See pick and roll defense here. They switch.
Mills to Newley, tried to line drive that one in. Back tap by Nielsen, and it was a good one.
Now Dean Smith would have loved that. Can't get the rebound, so you just tap it out to midcourt. An old North Carolina trick.
Off of Wade with 18 on the shot clock for Australia.
But the thing about these last two games with Russia and Australia is this is exactly how Spain and Greece and Argentina will play Team USA. But you have to say that they're more talented than these teams. So I give them a shot to win, even though Team USA is the overwhelming favorite. You know, remember, Rick, Spain is going to put a team on the floor with 5, 6, or 7 guys that have some sort of NBA experience, either coming or going. Darvahosa going back to Europe now, but the Gasol brothers, Navarro, Calderon, Ricky Fernandez will be playing with the Blazers this year. Excuse me, Rudy Fernandez, Ricky Rubio will be an NBA draft pick next year.
Nice cut.
See the offense, when you don't turn the ball over and you run your stuff crisply, you can get good looks. And I can tell you, Greece and Spain execute this way or better with better talent. That's the cause of concern for me right now.
Paul to Kobe.
Now, on the other hand, when you got guys like Kobe and LeBron and Carmelo on, then obviously you become difficult to guard.
Kobe puts the Americans back up by 14. The closest game they've had on this Olympic tour, pre-Olympic tour I should say, was against Russia. It was a 21-point game. Ansey.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the left-handed finger roll on the one.
That was the lowest finger roll I've ever seen. He shot that ball from about 3 feet.
Chris Paul, he just hit from that spot a moment ago.
That's how Chris Paul is so good. He doesn't have to always challenge the big guys. He's content with the mid-range, or what I call the high paint pull-up.
Knocked away by Chris Paul, steal leader in the NBA last year. And here is LeBron with a mega blast.
And Dwight Howard gets the assist. He tipped that ball.
And a whistle and a foul on the Americans. LeBron James has had a quiet second half, but a noisy jam sends us to timeout.
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball, brought to you by Sprite with Lyman and State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates.
Like a very nice boy.
He's got a really strong jawline.
I think she's got great pantsuits.
Oh, he seems funny.
There's something about her that says,
Tune to Elections 08 on demand for all the information you need on interests, issues, facts, and candidates. Elections 08 on demand. Vote smart.
Press 890 on your digital remote or from your Channel 1 on-demand menu. Select News and World, then Elections 08.
No, don't do it. He's your brother.
Rutabaga. Rutabaga! It's a carrot?
Oh, come on. Don't you dare go in that basement.
After years of trying to interact with your TV,
What did I just say?
it's time your TV responded. With Searchlight, it can.
Looking for a car? Go to Searchlight Channel 889, then Pre-Owned Autos, to search local vehicles by price, model, or dealer.
with the Sprite play of the game, Wade to Bosch.
Now, Chris Bosch 3 for 3 today. In fact, both Team USA centers have not missed a shot. Dwight Howard 4 for 4. And all you got to do, as I mentioned, is have your hands ready. And the triple penetration offense of this Team USA is effective at finding you.
Both of these teams have shot well in the second half. Australia, 54%. The United States, 56%. Chris Anstey at the line. And Fran, obviously a former coach. You may be a coach again one day. And I know you want to think about 2012 a little bit in terms of who might be the coach of this U.S. Olympic team.
You know, we mentioned the fact that Mike Krzyzewski, I'm sure he will not coach again. But Terry Colangelo's got some interesting choices. Obviously, Mike D'Antoni sits on that bench right now, and he's got a lot of international experience. Guy like Doc Rivers, who's a players type coach. Obviously, Greg Popovich has won a number of NBA championships. I would say this. I'll tell you one guy I would mention that I would have on my staff, and I'm not saying this because he's a friend, because I've said this publicly many times. Bob McKillop, the coach at Davidson, knows international basketball as well as anybody, and having Mike D'Antoni on this bench has been a huge help, I think, to Team USA. But you got to have somebody on your bench that really understands international basketball. So if Mike D'Antoni's the coach, you got that covered. But if he's not the coach, I think even if you find an American coach that's coaching overseas that really knows how international basketball is played, because it's a slightly different language than the NBA language.
Patrick Mills pulls and gets the layup to go. Patrick Mills, a coming out party of sorts for those in the States that haven't seen him play for St. Mary's College. And there's an offensive foul called on Chris Paul, and it's drawn by Mills.
Patrick Mills, 11 points today. He tortured USA a couple years ago in the under-19 World Championship, so he made his mark on the international scene, and then he did a terrific job this year for St. Mary's. I mentioned the game he had 37 against Oregon, a game I watched, and boy, we saw some pieces of his quickness today.
Chris Paul just fouled out on the flop by Patrick Mills. Mills driving, pulling back, and nailing a baseline J.
Oh, if you're Mark Few at Gonzaga right now, you're having some nightmares, because this kid is a handful.
This dude can play. So can D.Wade, and one.
Boy, have you been impressed with, Rick, with D.Wade Wade's not only ability to get to the rim, but how about how healthy he looks?
He looks absolutely fantastic. He looks like D.Wade circa the 2006 finals against Dallas when he won MVP, and when he went on an assault games 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think he had at least 35 points in all 4 of those games, or averaged 35 points during that run. Something insane like that. And I'm a huge D.Wade Wade fan. I've never lost faith in him, and I know he has a chip on his shoulder right now because of all the doubters. D.Wade, I never doubted you, baby. 21 points for him in the game, and that is Worthington underneath.
And once again, because Team USA's ball pressure has subsided in the second half, it's allowed Australia to really run their offense. And you got to give Brian Goorjian a lot of credit, because he had his team ready to play without Andrew Bogut, and I think they're going to gain a lot of confidence from this. In fact, Australia's been really impressive in this game, and they'd be a dangerous team in the medal round.
LeBron with the shot clock winding down, in and out for him, and we are 5 seconds to go on this pre-Olympic tour. And a strong move, and a block again by LeBron James, a defensive stamp to the pre-Olympic tour for Team USA by LeBron James as the Americans win against Australia 87-76. It was closer than D.Wade and the Americans would have liked, their closest game on this pre-Olympic tour, but nevertheless they win and go 5-0. Next stop, Beijing. We're back to wrap up our coverage in just a moment. And welcome back as we wrap up the pre-Olympic tour for USA Basketball. They go to 5-0 with this win by 11 over Australia. And a look at the exhibition results game by game. A 55-point W against Canada. They beat Turkey by 32. They beat Lithuania by 36. Russia by 21. And today Australia by 11. Do you like the state of USAB as they head to the Olympics?
Well, they look very bored in Shanghai, let's face it. And they didn't guard particularly well. And both teams, Russia and Australia, controlled the tempo of this game. I would say that this is eerily reminiscent of '06, and things will change when they get to Beijing.
So, Fran, the final score, USA 87, Australia 76. They might meet again in the medal round. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Fran Fraschilla and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Rick